We're going to be talking through the morning, I guess, the main slate, I guess really the only slate really today. There is a little bit of an afternoon one. I'm going to be all over the place today, so I don't know if I'm going to be having much more content, although there's not much more content to give. Sheets, how are you doing? And let's what do you think of the slate?
Yeah, so there's nothing tonight, right? So there's just to give you an idea, I am probably going to. I mean, I say I won't, but I probably will end up posting like some showdown sheets or something for tonight. You mentioned something about showdown. Was that for? Did you do that yesterday, or was that going to be for today?
For showdown for NBA?
I don't know. You mentioned something about doing something with a showdown slate or something.
Oh, I said it's just a showdown slate later. I don't know what I'm going to be able to get to tonight, so I can't make any promises. It depends on doctor's appointments.
Just a couple of announcements. I just posted a full derby analysis on the site, and you guys are fortunate that it's just my brain is way too unfocused to figure out how to put it up for premium members only. So everybody just got it for free. So you guys can thank for that. Evan tried to say, "Oh, we'll just do this." I'm like, nah, it's not going to work for me today. So I just put it out there. It's full for both the Oaks Day, which is Friday, and the Derby Day, which is Saturday. So feel free to enjoy. And MMA DFS will come out soon today, and then Friday we'll do a betting breakdown. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, sounds good. DFS has been going pretty good over here. I just keep making. I finished in the 15th in the 888 last night. I finished.
Oh wow!
I finished 20th, I think, in the 555 in the morning, and I finished 20th in the relay throw. I almost won the relay throw. I had some chances at the end. And then so been some pretty good stuff, pretty good week for DFS. But ready to keep it going today.
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Okay.
We will get this going. Yeah, so I guess kind of exciting times in New York. The return of Justin Verlander.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming out there. Hey, and then couldn't write a better script going into Detroit, right? To get it going. Let's just start with. What do you think of him?
Well, I certainly don't think you need to play him today, but I'm okay with playing him today. I threw 69 pitches his last rehab start, and trying to get a ceiling out of him at 10-8 might be tough, but if you want maybe I think there's a reasonable amount of safety there, and I don't see him being a much better play than Pablo Lopez. And then I think mostly, other than that, you get your pitching in the mid-range pitchers. I think are a little bit more interesting to me. Although I will have some Verlander exposure for sure.
Well, let's just I guess we'll just go game by game there. First of all, I was a little lazy. I didn't check the Roth weather out. All I see is a little cloud rain here. Is this like a rain thing in Chicago, Washington, or not really?
Chicago, Washington doesn't seem to be much of a concern.
Okay.
Delay chance is possible, but very low. That's what Roth is.
Well, I mean, let's start with this one. I mean, it's a Patrick Corbin slate, right? So if Patrick Corbin is pitching, I presume that the Cubs are one of the top options. Do you disagree? Where do you have the Cubs rated today? You getting any of these pitchers?
Yeah, this game is just too ugly for me to try and go after. I guess not too ugly. It's 58 degrees, wind's blowing in pretty hard from left field, 10 to 12 miles an hour. I don't really have a whole lot the Cubs are expensive. Obviously it's Corbin. There's going to be, I'm assuming, some pretty decent ownership. We're going to get into some weather today. There's still some weird weather in Colorado that they usually tend to get it in. The thing that's interesting about the Cubs is they're actually not getting the ownership that you would think that they'd be getting, because they're expensive. It's not there's other great hitting spots on the slate, and it's not really ideal to have that wind blowing in. However, especially when you're going against the lefty, as I keep mentioning every day, and Coors proved me right last night, because it's hard to get the ball to left field when you have that wind blowing against you and you have the lefties on the mound. So, and then you go over to the White Sox side of it, and most of their best hitters are, well, not most, but a good portion are either switch or left-handed. It's not like the most beautiful situation in the world. I think that Wisdom will be popular. I think Swanson will be popular, and I think that they're fine. I didn't get to them in my first builds, but I also thought they'd be more popular. So I might have to revisit the Cubs. That's sort of how I'm treating that one. Yeah, that's pretty much. I guess
you like Talion at all?
It's fine. It's just there's just other pitchers on the slate I'd rather play.
Okay,
but I think he's fine. I mean, it's a cheap price in a good matchup.
Yeah, I don't particularly have him rated high at all. I just figured I would just bring him up there.
He's an interesting one because he's going to be totally unowned, and it would not be surprising at all for him to put up like 20, 25 fantasy points here. Pretty good win upside as well. Yeah, I think that he's interesting, like, you know, maybe a large field play.
How about so Detroit Mets? You know, you have Verlander, but yet, you know, on the other hand, you have you have like the once and future leader of the free world, like Erod with like a .87 whip to start off the season. Has he found something? I mean, is he 10K in 2 months, or is he 6K in 2 months? I don't know what to make of him.
I don't know if I'd be finding something because he's basically been a 10K pitcher before, like regularly, or not 10.
I guess refound something. I mean,
yeah, something like that. Maybe he has a little bit. He's been good. I hate this matchup for him. Really like the Mets, but again, just a matter of who do you want to play today. And looking at the Mets lineup and seeing if there's anything I don't like, it looks pretty good. So I think the Mets are actually just a very, very viable stack. And the thing that's troubling a little bit is that because Erod does have some decent stuff, and it's interesting to me that Vegas is believing in him. Like the run totals against him for far worse teams than the Mets were like 5.5 every game, and now they've got the Mets at 4.25. And the Mets have a team that should be able to beat up on lefties pretty good, even though, you know, regardless of early season results. So it's kind of an interesting spot. I'm not playing any Erod, obviously, but I do think that you know, I do think the Mets are a very interesting stack at no ownership. So maybe you just use pieces, but like Alonso at 5%, Lindor at 5%, Marte at 5%. I don't know. This feels like a good spot. I mean, it's cold, obviously, in Detroit a little. Well, it's 57, but you know, tiny slight winds, nothing really special. Like headed out to center, like so. It's a spot where I could definitely see playing some Mets, and that stadium in Detroit in general plays much better during the day for hitters than it does at night.
Yeah, I didn't quite, and you already touched on Verlander. I kind of echo your sentiments that I don't think you have to play him. He certainly could end up being the top scoring pitcher on the slate. I mean, it's possible. I would even say probable that he's the top scoring pitcher on the slate, but you know, he's also $3,000 more than everybody else. So it's a question of what you want to do, especially coming off of 68 pitches. I mean, listen, and there's not to say that he couldn't get there in 85 pitches, but listen, he is he's not 20 anymore, and we think that he's going to be fine, but already, if I'm not mistaken, last year he was already starting to trend to not being the greatest strikeout pitcher anymore. So I'll probably end up avoiding it if you want to know the truth.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I'll this game is probably secondary for me in all respects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I hear you. I do think that I know myself. I'm going to talk myself into the Mets.
Okay.
I think that it's just something that I'm probably gonna just have to deal with that I want to do. Okay, and I'm not playing a ton of lineups, so I can't really go crazy. Will you start off the next one? I'm just trying to. Sorry, just getting something straight.
Yeah, I think just Zach Eflin is just too expensive for me to make him playable today. And I'm not a Vince Velasquez guy. I don't see much ownership on Tampa. So I would, again, my complete unscientific leverage rating, I do have Tampa as a very, very strong play. And there's one other team we'll get to in a minute. But so I do have Tampa rated that way. I might end up trying it. And that's pretty much all I have from this game.
Yeah, no way I can get to Eflin or Velasquez. So I just want to think about the Velasquez thing for a minute. This seems like a bad matchup. This guy has been, I mean, if we say anything about Erod, he's been much better than Erod's been. He has been unbelievable. Like, I don't know. I mean, like it's kind of like, do you know whether to believe it? But like these last games out there, he struggled in his first couple starts, and then what is he dominated?
He's been awesome. He's been the best. I mean, like,
yeah. I mean, these are like ridiculous numbers,
including 20 fantasy points in Colorado.
I know. Yeah, so I'm probably just going to be off this game, and also Tampa Bay is really expensive without like their second best player in Tampa and Brandon Lowe. But like, yeah, I like them as a get different thing. I don't necessarily buy that the whole thing with Velasquez will last forever.
Yeah, but why not take a shot? Listen, I'm thinking about this, and you of all people, you're not shy about going after Tampa, you know,
no.
and it's been pretty successful for you so far this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, if no one's going to play him because of, first of all, no one believes it, and second of all, no one wants to play anybody against Tampa. This could be the nuts. I don't know. I got to think about this one.
You're going to get no ownership, and I think it is interesting. It's just hard for me to know how to believe this or not. But even like looking at the lineup for Tampa, it doesn't. I mean, you have a lot of righties in there.
They're all righties. I mean, I think.
I mean, I think it's an interesting GPP play. Like if you were going to, let's just say, game stack Coors today, for example, he's a guy you could use to do that with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hope that he outscores the other 8K guys, because there's a bunch of them. And it seems like a tall task, but he's been doing it every time out there. So I think maybe we do have to get a credit. And then you get to the guy who I actually plan on playing today, and we're going to talk about that in the next game. And I'm like, dude, is Jack Flaherty really that much? Why do I need to play him? Like I can play Velasquez if I need to feel so confident about Flaherty, which I guess I'm sort of transitioning. I do like Flaherty for what it's worth. And I think St. Louis is a totally reasonable stack. I like Flaherty's K numbers being back up. Obviously, it's a tough matchup for him last time against the Dodgers. Don't put any credit to that. No Mike Trout in the lineup today. I am perfectly happy with taking a shot not even taking a shot, just going with Flaherty. And as I always say, when teams don't face you and they don't see you often enough, I always am more willing to take the gamble on guys. It's not really a huge gamble, but it's I do think he's very reasonable. And with how bad St. Louis has been on a different slate, maybe you could talk me into Griffin Canning. I'm not going to do it today, but I think St. Louis is fine. I'm not getting to them as a full stack, but I do like Flaherty a lot.
I have St. Louis as a good leverage stack. And I'm really happy to hear that Trout is out. And I certainly hope that Flaherty does well, because we are in the backs against the wall in Survivor right now.
Seriously, man.
I thought St. Louis was going to win yesterday. I stopped paying attention. They lost at the end, I guess. Listen, it's a very, very, very opportune day to have Trout out. Let's put it that way. Really need this one. So anyway, I do have Flaherty as one of the I have 4 pitchers that I kind of want to play, and one of them is Flaherty, and I do like the Cardinals. So there you go, Cardinals and Flaherty.
Yep. So that's same page here. What do you got next? Why don't you start us off with the next one?
So we have Jordan Lyles next. So Baltimore is going to rate as one of the top plays as usual. I mean, not as usual. First of all, Baltimore does rate usually as a top play anyway, but usually it's at home. But against Lyles, I mean, I'll definitely take a shot with that. I think they'll be somewhat owned. But again, when you have Milwaukee and all their freaking 2K guys in Coors, you know what I mean? Like Milwaukee's going to be so freaking popular.
Right.
So I do like Baltimore as one of my top options. And I can get talked into Grayson Rodriguez. He's not one of my top guys. I'm very comfortable with the guys I have, but I can get talked into him in MME. I mean, what do you think here?
Yeah, I like Rodriguez. Actually, he's a little. I don't quite have him as one of my top 2, but I actually like. I really like Baltimore. There's a little don't look at the. Roth wrote something about this, about how a lot of the weather models have this as being a lot more risky than it looks. And It doesn't even look that at all based on anything that you can see. But just keep in mind that the two games that I like the offense in the most are going to be really, really kind of shady with the weather. This one I'm hoping just goes off fine because I love Baltimore. I'm ready to get my money back from the stacks that I don't dedicated to them yesterday, and they just completely let down. The worrisome part is that they're going to be pretty popular. I also think that if you're, because of the pricing on KC, you could definitely get talk me into a mini KC stack. Remember, Grayson Rodriguez is really talented, but still young. You've got some good spots to attack him. Stolen bases for young pitchers are always a little bit tricky for them to hold runners on. So Bobby Witt would be the spend up, but then you get guys like Pasquantino. Even if you wanted to use Michael Massey at 2,100, I know he's batting seventh, but he's 2,100. Nick Prado in the outfield or Maikel Garcia batting fifth and sixth. You have a lot of options here if you want to use a mini stack, which is the way I'm treating it. But I like this whole game. Another day with really good hitting weather in KC, 72 degrees with the wind 10 miles an hour blowing out to left center. So I'm in on this whole game from a hitting perspective, and I will mix in some Grayson Rodriguez.
So what do you want to do? Are you playing Giolito or are you playing Minnesota? I guess that's the question. Next, and then where does Pablo Lopez fit? I think this game is very obviously an important game to get right. Or not get right, or just play both sides. But Giolito is uber cheap, and yet he gives up a lot of fantasy points when he's not doing his thing. So yeah. I think that both ends of that equation are pretty good. Mm-hmm. And Lopez, I don't have as one of my top guys. Again, I'm just doing something a little different. But I definitely have Giolito rated as my top guys, and yet on the other hand, I think I have Minnesota as one of my top stacks. So I don't know what to do.
So this is a very weird one. I initially was not going to play Giolito, and now I think that I'm definitely going to play him. If I just compare him with Flaherty. So Giolito has faced these guys, the expected lineup today 190 times, okay? They're hitting 190 off of him. They do walk at 12%, which is a lot. They have eight home runs and 190. That's a pretty decent amount. But his strikeout rate is almost 40%. Or 34% against this lineup that he's facing. I think that the right thing to do is to gamble on Giolito. And it's funny because even with the home runs that he always seems to give up, if he can just keep the walks down, you could be looking at a monster game from him. And I think it's a good enough bet where I'm probably going to end up playing him instead of Flaherty, or maybe put them together or something, because I think in that price range, I think that people will go Flaherty more. Let me just double check that I'm not wrong about that. I'm trying to see where Giolito's ownership is, and for some reason I didn't have it right away. Actually, Giolito's looking more popular. So yeah, I guess it's just a decision between he and Flaherty then. And I love Pablo Lopez. If I do play Verlander lineups, I think you play these guys together. But I like both the pitchers in this game. I have no interest in the hitting whatsoever. I understood you can make an argument for Minnesota against Giolito and all that stuff. There's just way too many better stacks to me on the slate.
So Minnesota at Colorado. I mean, this is like a Milwaukee, Colorado. I mean, Milwaukee must be so happy they don't get to face leader of the free world, Kyle Freeland, again. I mean, the guy's insane.
Right.
And yet, I mean, they still have these guys priced at 2K. I mean, the Tyrone Taylor is 2K. Who's that? The Turang or whatever. He's at 2K. When I say 2K, I mean 2K and something, right? 2,300, Turang 2,800, even Winker 3,700. Yeah. So they're gonna Weimer 2,900. I mean, what are you gonna do? But project these guys as the best plays, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough fade if you want to know the truth. But I'll probably end up fading it, but it's definitely a tough fade. I will say that. And I'm not getting to any of the pitching.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest I don't have that much interest in Colorado. They're fine. It's fine. There's really a ton of rain today, and I'm trying to figure out what that means. Sort of have crosswinds in this game, so I'm not worried about it affecting the hitting, but it is 72 degrees. So assuming that they play, that's pretty good for Colorado. Let me just refresh this because I don't think that some of the guys we talked about are in the lineup necessarily.
Oh, like Winker and
I'm just trying. Well, Winker, those guys. Winker's in, Turang's in. Actually, Taylor's in an eighth, but sixth is, I believe, Caratini, who's not.
I don't even have a lineup yet.
I see a lineup on. I'm looking at MLB.com has Caratini in sixth. I'm just trying to get my.
Is Tyrone Taylor in?
Tyrone Taylor's batting eighth. And you like it better because he's, it's a righty. If they're starting him against a righty, less likely he gets pulled. That was always been the issue with him. But I'm not going to full stack the Brewers by any means. It's just not the way that I play. I do like the Brewers pieces a little bit better than I like the Colorado pieces, but that's just the way that I'm treating this game, is just pieces. Colorado will be low owned. They are a team you could use, and get, quote unquote, get away with it. I like Milwaukee's bullpen, and I think that Miley is good enough, but I still think, like, just because of the ownership, maybe that is something you could do, is play Colorado. These guys really are not getting owned like ever. Chris Bryant, you've got the cheap options. You've got the minimum cost catcher. You've got Tovar at shortstop at 2,500. Moustakas at third base at 3K, for first and third at 3K. Colorado, I could talk myself into if I tried. I just don't love picking on Miley in general, but it is Colorado and they're not getting ownership. So pieces are my main thing from this game, but I wouldn't mind I wouldn't certainly not fault you if you want to make a Colorado stack.
I have the more I think, I just think Kirby's the best play, like, going into the next game here. I mean, he's really good. Oakland's really not. Less question marks as far as I'm concerned. I think he's probably my favorite of them all, now that I'm thinking about this. So I like Kirby. I might be interested in the cheapo on the other side of this at 5K. I don't know if I'm going to need it, but I could be talked into this maybe. So I like both the pitchers and obviously more so Kirby than the other guy. And I'm not getting to the hippie. Yeah,
I'm not going to talk you into Drew Rosinski. I think that the Mariners are one of the best stacks on the slate.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
maybe the best. They couldn't score last night at all to save their lives. And it always scares me to say that about the Mariners. But you're going to have a low-owned stack. It is a day game in Oakland. It's still only 60 degrees, but there's 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. And it's a little, there are some potential rain issues again. It's just been ugly weather here in Northern California. In Northern California, it's always ugly weather, it feels like. I love Kirby, and I am very high on Seattle. If not a full stack, at least a mini stack from Seattle. And it's the usual names, Kalenic being my favorite, Cal Raleigh, if he's back in there, which I assume he would be because he pinch hit last night. Suarez. The only guy who I would say that I may just be like, he's just, Julio Rodriguez is struggling, and he doesn't look right, and he costs a fortune. And every time I make a Seattle mini stack, like last night, I could have gone a different route and won the tournament. I just wanted to go with the Rodriguez thing. I think that I would be okay with, like, leaving him off a mini stack, but probably if I played a 5-man, I would want to have him on it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting spot. Anyway,
this Atlanta game, what is this, a bullpen game for Atlanta?
With Dodd. So
yeah, I don't know.
Basically, like I mean, his. Give me a minute.
I'm only asking because
no, it's not.
I happen to think Luzardo is a good play.
Well, it's not a bullpen game because Dodd is not a bullpen pitcher, by the way.
Oh, he's not. Okay, I didn't even see him listed as like a starting pitcher.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. They just get that all the time. They've had some guys as relief pitchers for like 5 years.
Yeah, so I have Luzardo rated as pretty good on the Miami side. Obviously, attacking Atlanta's ain't no bargain, but I have him as decent, and I kind of want to play Miami. I mean, I don't want to play Miami, but I kind of might play Miami. I don't know. Talk to me about this.
I don't really see any reason to. I do have Miami as a mini stack option, a totally viable mini stack. I just don't see any reason to try to full stack Miami here. There's just so many better options. I mean, we just talked about like 9 really good stacks. I guess maybe because Birdie is like an awesome play. If he's leading off, I'll play him. Fortes is cheap, so I can understand that one. It seems like the lineups would try to get you to build like that, but I just don't really understand the argument for stacking the worst offense on the big slate personally, with lots of good options. But I'm not going to be opposed to a mini stack at all with even Segura's 2,900. A little 3-man maybe. I just could never get to myself for a 5-man. I do think Luzardo is really good, so I'm not going to be on Atlanta. But I also don't think I particularly want to play Luzardo because I like the other guys around him with a little bit more safety. So, I mean, for me, I just to sum up now, since we did it right, Sheets. I think we got it right that time, right?
Yeah, we did.
I think because usually, yeah. So anyway, so I like Kirby, Flaherty, Giolito as my main guys, and then my spend ups. I like both Verlander and Pablo Lopez with the edge to Lopez. I like the Mets. I like both sides of the KC Baltimore game. And then I like to use the Coors game for pieces, specifically, cheap guys where they fit, or a power one-off like Chris Bryant, or anybody from Milwaukee generally as a power one-off or something. But that's sort of mostly what I'm doing. So the Mets, Baltimore, KC, and some Colorado, Milwaukee pieces.
Yeah, I'm currently in kind of like X out and kind of tweak mode right now. I have to figure out what I want to do with Verlander. As far as hitting, like right now, I have to say that I'm with you in my current exposure, in that my current exposure has my top stack as being the aforementioned Seattle Mariners.
Ooh, yeah.
So in that case, I'm probably just gonna leave it. You know what I mean? Like this is the way I play. You know what I mean? Like if I have something and then you liked it and I didn't even realize that you liked it when I did this, whatever, and they're low owned or lower owned, whatever, I'm just gonna probably just leave it just as it is. But the other teams that I have are Cubs, Baltimore, Milwaukee, Minnesota, St. Louis, and some Mets. So we're kind of in the same page. The only thing I need to figure out is what to do with Verlander. I don't know the answer.
I just don't think there's any reason with all the guys we talked about to like overly prioritize him. But like, I do think that if you want to play him, I think that's totally fine. Like, I just don't have as strong of a take on that one.
How much should I have of him?
I would probably in the 20% range, maybe a little bit less.
Maybe go right with the field on him.
Yeah, and even that, like, I'm not worried about. I mean, it would take him just being like literally like a no hitter going into the 7th or something for him to be out there too long. They're not going to mess around with Verlander.
Flaherty,
Verlander might have the shortest leash of the next like 15 pitchers on the list. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he may not. If he's rolling along, they may just let him go. Yeah, I think Verlander just getting a little bit of exposure, but even that, like, I'm just like, I put him in my single entry lineup with what's his name, Pablo Lopez. Just saying, okay, look, I'll take my what I feel like are pretty safe pitching points.
Right.
Yeah, he's only got a 5.5 K prop. Good point there by Eric Johnson. I got to start talking a little more about K props, and I'll try to incorporate that stuff a little bit more because I think it's really important to notice that stuff. Anyway. Okay.
Baltimore. A little more Baltimore, I think.
Yeah.
Seattle, Baltimore, Chicago. I got to get a little Milwaukee. Minnesota. I think I should be okay. Except, yeah, I'm going to listen to what you say. I think I'm just going to go with the fields on Verlander, maybe like 20% or something.
Yeah, something like that. And again, like the way I said it, I'll use him as my single entry. I don't know what no scope in the lineup means. Scope has maybe been one of the 5 worst hitters in baseball this season, so I don't know if that's a good thing for Verlander. Who cares about the VVP? Jonathan Scope was one of the better hitters in baseball. The VVP means nothing right now. Like literally couldn't mean less than anything. In this case, it absolutely means 0.
No scope is like almost that's like a weird thing to even cite. You know what I mean? Like.
It's because he has a BVP against him, I guess.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about years ago. Like this is it's just not interesting at all to me. Unfortunately, I have to go in a few minutes. Sheets, did you end up getting some golf lineups in?
I did.
I'm kind of tilting myself because I kept
none of my guys start till like later, I think.
Same here, pretty much. But I kept thinking, like, God, the spend downs. At some point, Kevin Streelman might be a good idea to get in there, and just not that he's going to end up great or whatever, but he's 6,600. He's going to make the cut at least, which is not more than I can say for my guys. But he's in first place.
Oh, he's off to a good start.
Yeah, he's in first.
Wow.
He shot 500 today, which
Oh wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna say good luck to everybody today. Sheets, good to see you, man. And I will try to touch base about anything else. You guys tag me in Discord, and I'll try to help out. But gonna be a hustling doctor day for me, bouncing around.
All right, sounds good.
All right, good luck, guys.
Later.
Do you want me to leave it on, Sheets?
No.